Hi there. This is Dr. Cynthia Lee Smith, and the doctor is in. Hi, everybody. If anybody is here, hi to anyone who decides to replay this. My name is Dr. Cynthia Lee Smith, and I am an anti racist, anti white supremacism essay and essayist. Educator and essayist, and I specialize in presentations with alternative views on race, racist color, racist character, racism, and white supremacy, offering deeper, more critical perspectives on these subjects, including, and this is important, including the potential implications of racialized wording in the U.S. language that are not ordinarily considered. Now, something always seems to escape me when I'm doing these lives, and I want to apologize because I'm still getting used to being live. And anybody who understands what it is to be live is that crap happens. And crap happened yesterday on a live that I did where I was talking about the subject of power and where power is really located in this country and how it relates to racism and white supremacism and the people who are uh, affected by it. And I realized once I decided to play it back, because I usually don't play back my videos, but I decided to play back the video. And when I did, I realized that there were minutes of complete silence. And during those minutes, I was reading the essay that was a part of the whole context of the video. And it was called For White People Who Don't Know Who Is Really in Charge or Who Think They Are. Now, what I was attempting to do was to put the screen up, which showed where the video was where the excuse me, where the essay was located for a follow along, I guess you could call it. And that was kind of dumb to do because I believe without looking at the mute, and I know there's some of us who do that, will be talking and the mute is on and we're not aware that the mute button has turned itself on. So, what I want to do today is to read that essay. What I'd like you to do is to watch the discussion yesterday up to that point where it goes silent. See, my finger hit the button and it went mute again. I apologize. Jesus. Okay, I'm going to get it together. But anyway, listen to that video from yesterday up to the point where it becomes silent, and then get on here, or listen to this first. Maybe I'll put that on my page, on my community page, to listen to this one first and then go to the other one, because context is key, as you know. Context is part of a group of tools, 3 tools that you need to use to understand this and navigate this racialized language in America: connotation, context, and comprehension. So I'm going to read this essay for you. You can find it on Medium. And there is actually a video on my channel where I read it before some years ago. It's called "For White People Who Don't Know Who Is Really in Charge or Who Think They Are." If your ancestors came over to this country, immigrated to America from some other shore after the enslavement, then this essay is not for you, unless you are genuinely interested in reading about how white supremacy in America is controlling the very people who believe that they actually have the power in this country by virtue of the color of their skin. You identify as white. You thereby identify with extremely powerful people who share your color, and by proxy, you believe you have power. Let's call these people with whom you identify supreme white power. Now, as I explained before in another discussion, I believe it was a day and a half ago, maybe 2 days ago now, I explained that democracy, as it is defined in this country, is supreme, pay attention to the wording, supreme power by and of the people. Okay, so bear in mind that word supreme. So this is why I'm using supreme, but I'm using supreme white power because of the context. So let's call these people with whom you identify supreme white power. You believe you have the same kind of power as supreme white power because you enjoy a measure of benefits from supreme white power that allow you to live at a level of relative comfort in this country. One of the benefits is sharing in their ideology of supremacy over everything on the planet, although nothing could be further from the truth. It actually places you in a much more precarious position than it does Black people because you really believe you have the same amount of power as supreme white power. If you ever want to test your powerlessness against those who control your every move, try going up against supreme white power when your white body and mind is trying to gain more economic benefits, financial security, or anything else other than what supreme white power wants you to have. The operative words for you to think critically about here are allow, measure of benefits, relative, and level. Within the context of the benefits enjoyed by you, let's now dissect these few words somewhat to help you begin to think of what they mean in terms of your power or lack thereof. If you want to know what the word allow means, even on an elementary level, you know that in order to be allowed something, the entity doing the allowing must also have the ability to take what they have allowed away. This is the one word that effectively removes any power you might have thought you had up until now. Now, this essay is actually written. When I wrote this, I was writing this to and specifically for white people, but I think Black people can benefit from this as well. Measure of benefits suggests that what you do have in terms of anything has been scrutinized and measured, as in the number of benefits you will or will not be allowed. Level also means a measure in terms of how high in importance, grandeur, relevance, and power those benefits can reach. Relative within this context means in relation to others, either similarly or not similarly situated. The benefits you have been afforded by supreme white power or what is known as economic comfort and individuality. However, this economic comfort is limited and apportioned to you according to a measure of benefits that allow you to live at a level of relative comfort in this country. You're going to see where I'm going with this. Your individuality means you can separate yourself as a collective in all other areas of your historical and existential activities and circumstances on this planet while retaining the collective ideology of supreme white power. Remember, remember this because of what comes next. Supreme white power created the system that you live under. Yes, you are living under a system. While not the system of racism, it is a form of subjugation that was designed for you in this country in order to control the level of power you could ever attain. Supreme white power has always maintained that true power in this country is relative to tangible expressions of wealth, measurable at the highest levels possible, and which is derived through their own personal economic and financial health, not yours. Understand this. And this goes for anyone who seems to think that they are somehow not affected by the name that I'm going to be giving this particular system. Their level of this wealth and subsequent power is unattainable for anyone than the members of supreme white power. Did you hear what I just said? Their level of this wealth and subsequent power is unattainable. I don't care how much merit, how much achievement that you have gained in this country. The American dream is a myth to keep you hard working, to keep you sweating, and to keep you happy in that mindset of hard drudgery work for their benefit, with the hope of at some point during this period of your life that you will have achieved a measure of benefits that they decide they will afford you. So their level of wealth and subsequent power is unattainable for anyone than the members of supreme white power. Therefore, the only real similarity you share with them is the color of their skin, because the system they created for you will ensure that you will never be equal to them in any other way that they measure power. Furthermore, in much the same way that they use color to control both you and Black people, you and me, who are living within the system of racism, this system was designed to control the vast majority of you economically and financially, which in turn controls every aspect of your daily lives and virtually your entire existence. This system has no formal name, but it has its roots in colonialism and the monarchy and aristocracy, and is a caste system based on a level measurement of economic apportionment. It is a caste system. So let's call this the economic class caste. And this is what white people live under. This is their thing. Racism, if you had a Venn chart, racism does intersect in the economy because that is one of the institutions in this country. And of course, racism permeates itself through all institutions, which is why we, in our economic class system, or within the economic class system, suffer more. The vast majority of white people in this country live in two categories or levels of this economic class caste system: the middle class and the lower middle class. You may fit into one of these groups, or may, through the advent of lines of credit, credit cards, loans, and other forms of artificial wealth, consider yourself a step above these class levels that over the years saw upper middle, and upper classes making room for blacks who began to move into the economic class caste after the 60s. And if you remember, or you whether you remember or not, I'll let you know that during the 60s, the civil rights movement basically became limited apportionment of opportunity for Black people in the areas of housing, employment, and education. Specifically, education and employment. Supreme white power allowed Black people inside of the economic class caste that was designed originally for you. This is why so many are angry. I don't mean to laugh, but it's why so many are angry. So many of you are angry because supreme white power allowed Black people inside of its economic class caste structure that was designed originally for you, and have found it in jeopardy of collapsing from time to time over the years. Because God forbid more and more people become economically relatively stable, especially Black people and white people caught in the same caste structure and appearing equal. That ain't supposed to happen. It's not supposed to happen. Therefore, they expanded the placeholders that would still ensure that you remained a step above Blacks economically. For example, too many Blacks in the middle, take some completely out and put them into prison or into the lower and lower middle classes. Those educated Blacks who remain in the middle move some middle class whites into the upper middle class, and the upper middle class whites into the upper class. Still too big in the middle? Sacrifice some whites, collateral damage, from the middle, and put them into the lower middle, into jail, or into the white trash bin. Now, I say white trash, but I'm not using that word as though I created it, because I did not. That is a word that created to describe the lowest of themselves within their economic class caste subjugative structure. Those of you who live in the lower class level, the white trash, are the minority of your system and are ostracized from the rest of yourselves. you discard your trash if you're not on the middle of the trash bin, or if you're not on the inside, I meant to say, of the trash bin. But if you are considered trash, you are probably the most angry of all of the classes and feel the worst effects of your powerlessness. You are at the bottom of the bottom rung and are at arm's length of the very people you were supposed to be superior over. For God's sakes. No wonder they get so angry. Because they are at arm's length from the people who they are supposed to be superior over. And the only thing that they have as a way, as a measure of their own human value is through the lens of the economic class caste structure of which they are a part. You feel you lost your whiteness after the colorblind paradigm shift in the post-racial America stripped it and replaced it for the concept of normal, mainstream, a state of being accepted to varying degrees by the other class levels. If you want to know all about that part, get my book called White Supremacy in the Post-Racial Colorblind Era, Exploring Visible and Invisible Whiteness in the United States, and Unbleached, Unbook Look. Your inability to escape your lower class status or move into the lower middle or middle classes further ostracized you, creating a fringe of animus that goes well beyond the Confederacy or whiteness. A lot of these people are just so plain angry, they don't know who to be mad at. But the structure and the institutions tell them it's Black people. Black people are your problem at the end of the day. Notwithstanding all of the other things you can be mad about religiously and otherwise, it's Black people who are taking your jobs, who are getting into school when you are supposed to, just by virtue of your superiority, or should I say feigned superiority. The ideology of supremacy and your ability to embrace and express it has escaped you even as you identify with the color of supreme white power, but feel powerless to express it without misplaced hate and violence. There are even fewer of you who live in the upper middle and upper classes, and those of you living there are receiving the top level of the measured relative comfort allowed by supreme white power. This is because you are the ones who have been allowed to be in the representative positions of their power. You may be in the middle and at the top of business, local, state, or even national politics, and some other selected, highly placed individuals who help to support and perpetuate the ideology of white supremacy and supreme white power. So, supreme white power subjugates you and controls you. You are living in a system they created for you, so they can maintain their power over you as people who identify with them on account of color. Guess what? You are being subjugated on account of color. And because you believe you are the same as they are, you believe you are the same as they are. And this is one of the reasons why it was important. And I'm going to print out this other thing because I think it's important because of what happened yesterday in my live to tie it all together from yesterday rather than to have you look at the other video. That's my printer. I hope you could hear me. I hope I wasn't. Oh, great. So it's out of paper. You know what? That's what these lives do. Oh my God. Yeah. You're going to have to look at the other video. Do look at the other video from beginning to the point where it muted, and then go to this one. And then you'll get a much better understanding. You'll get a much better understanding of the context of this discussion. That's all I wanted to say today. I promise I will get the hang of this live broadcasting, because I'm over the few years that I've been on YouTube, I only presented pre-recorded videos, and I've only just within the last few months or so been getting the hang of this live format. But in that, something always happens, and it generally happens to me after the fact. I find out that I had the wrong mic and everything sounds choppy, or I find out that nothing was happening at all, or that I was completely frozen and didn't realize it. So bear with me. Doc is, and it's ironic too, because I spent darn near 40 years as an IT technologist and director and manager and all that other kinds of good stuff. So I am very aware and astute in the area of information technology and systems. In fact, that's my undergrad degree. It's a Bachelor of Science in Information Technology. So I'm going to go, and I'm going to prepare for another discussion that I think will interest you, and I hope will interest you. Do share this, and when you do, maybe throw a couple of words in there and say, here, check out Auntie Dr. Cynthia's live from the other day, and then look at this one. I really, you know what, whichever one you look at first, like you're looking at this one now, then go to the other one. All right. Talk to you later. Bye bye.